Imagine a solution to plastic waste being dumped into the landfill or even the ocean. And what if that solution meant turning that waste into fuel for airplanes or cars? It's a concept that's being developed currently right here in Alberta through a company called Cielo Waste Solutions. And their CEO, Ryan Jackson, joins me from Calgary to talk about these innovations. Take a look. So Ryan, tell us more about this. I went onto your website and I watched the video. It's very fascinating. And you're actually finding different ways to think about garbage, is what it sounds like. So maybe tell us about the company's mission.
Our purpose is essentially to solve or to be a waste solutions company to allow people to come to us with their waste problem. CP Rail is a good example with their railroad ties, which we've publicly announced, and say, help. How can you do something with this that doesn't have us take it to a landfill or burn them, whatever it is? And so we have a process called thermocatalytic depolymerization, and I have practiced that more than once, TCD, and our process and technology allows us to convert certain types of waste into a fuel.
Fascinating. Okay, so you're basically figuring out how to take waste, turn it into usable fuels.
Currently, we do have a way to, so what we do is our process has a stage where we put into the reactor, and along with the wood waste, for example, in the context of railroad ties, and we're going to be trialing other types of rubber and plastics as an example. But it goes in with a carrier fluid and a catalyst, and out the back of it comes a distillate, which then can be refined into diesel, jet fuel, and then a byproduct of it is naphtha, which is a diluent for pipelines and whatnot. So that, along with other compounds, we can also create with different types of feedstock as well, potentially as an additive in a chemical processing plant or anything of that nature.
Okay, so what kinds of wastes are we talking about that can be used? You mentioned the railroad ties. Can we use like any household trash, literally, that's going to the landfill?
We have the ability to process specific waste currently. And so the broader term of garbage, for example, it doesn't go into a blender and out comes some magic fuel. It's a little bit more complicated than that for us. So right now, we're sorting through the specific waste streams that we're able to process efficiently.
How is this for the environment? How clean is this process?
So all of the process that we have is a closed loop. So what we get in the way of I guess, an off waste stream, we reintroduce into our process. So we do utilize, I paraphrase always, a meat processing facility where there's very little waste once they're through with everything. And that's essentially what our approach is as well. So from an emissions perspective, we incinerate what little waste gas there is off of the process. And our waste stream is essentially reintroduced back into the process to try and maximize efficiency. So we're in the single digits as far as our waste stream that comes off of the process.
Okay, how did this technology come to be? What was the motivating factor to develop this? It's quite interesting.
It was acquired from Germany, actually, back close to 10 years ago, and brought over to this country. And of course, innovation in and of itself is created around people who take a good idea or a good initial process and create something good from it. And that's essentially what has happened here, is that the core technology or process that was brought over, along with the catalyst and things of that nature, that then evolved into what we have today.
Where do you see this in 5 years?
I think that the best option is to say we'll have grown to a point where we've solved certain sector problems. Because remember, we're not a fuels producer. That's our byproduct that we produce by taking care of a waste stream. So it's important for us. That's why we're called Cielo Waste Solutions and not Cielo Oil and Gas. The waste stream has to be consistent, and it has to be there. Otherwise, we can't produce. The plastics issue in Canada is starting to change. The landscape is changing. They're banning single-use plastics. It's not as easy to find a waste stream for plastics in Canada. But remember, we're a globally focused company. So we're not looking solely at solving a Canadian problem. We're looking at solving a global problem.
Coming up after the break, we tell you what made headlines in our southern Alberta region. Be right back.
Methodist church also did the first services from there. So yeah, it was like a Swiss knife for the various community events.